Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're able to hear me okay. I realize many of you just received your food, so obviously please continue to eat. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I got to enjoy mine. But we do want to, for the sake of time, go ahead and get started.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Is that better? Okay. All right. Once again, if you have just gotten your food, obviously please continue to eat and enjoy your meal today. But for sake of time, we are going to go ahead and get started. I'm Walter Hoffman with the Lexington Rotary Club, and on behalf of the Lexington and Thomasville Rotary Clubs, as well as the Central Carolina Conference, I am pleased to welcome you to the 2023 Cushwa England Awards Luncheon for the Central Carolina Conference. We're delighted that you could be with us today to celebrate this. And I don't know if you're as excited as I am today, but I got three big reasons that I'm excited today. Let me explain quickly. First of all, I've been a Rotarian for over 25 years. I love Rotary. I love that we make an impact in our community. We have great fellowship. We make impact internationally. I love that. Secondly, I love high school sports. What's not to love? I love the work and the talent that's required, the individual effort as well as the teamwork, the rivalries, the sportsmanship, the incredible performances we get to enjoy. And third, I was blessed, after his coaching days, to get to know Coach Charlie England a little bit. And I joined the list of everyone else that ever met Coach Charlie England, being amazed at what an incredible inspiration he was to us. And I'm going to take this opportunity, Macon, if I could ask you to stand up. His son, Macon England, is with us today, representing the family, and we thank you so much for being with us today. Spend the entire time here talking about how great your mom and dad were. We don't have time for that, but thank you so much for representing today, Megan. So with those three things, today we get to celebrate all of those. So this is just a little bit like Christmas for me today. Now, you're probably not quite that excited, but I hope you do look forward to this event. And I thank you very much for all being with us today. If you'll give me just a moment, let me introduce a couple of folks here at the head table. To my right, we've got Jared Dunbar, who is the president of the Thomasville Rotary Club, as well as a representative for Edward Jones. Everybody knows Billy Freeman next to me. He's worn many hats. I tell him his most important hat is he's Anna's dad. So I'm going to stick with that. But he's also with the Thomasville Rotary Club. We've got Danny Palmer with us. He is the secretary now of the Central Carolina Conference after being the longtime AD at UC Davidson. We have Mr. Sam Barefoot also with the Thomasville Club and with the Baptist Home for Children. And down at the far end, sneaking up to the head table, we got Ronnie Beverly. We're delighted to have Ronnie with us today. Also, everybody knows Ronnie. Ronnie was a star athlete at Lexington High School. Went on to be the AD there for a long time, and I believe now at Winston-Salem State. Is that still correct, Ronnie? Yes, sir. Thank you so much for being with us today. All right, once again, I want to thank you all for being with us. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Sam Barefoot for our invocation.
Thank you, Walter. It is an exciting time, and let's pray together. Our Father, we come to you today with grateful hearts, so grateful that as we approach this weekend to remember those that died to give us our freedom, that we might assemble ourselves today and have this freedom to celebrate, to rejoice in what our students have done on and off the field. Our Father, we're so grateful for each one of them. We're grateful for their families and all that they have done, and especially their parents and family members behind the scene, helping them to be successful. We're especially thankful for our educators and each and every day that they're in there doing their job, doing their thing way beyond the call of duty and doing it late at nights. And a lot of those things go unseen, Father, and we know you're watching and you're paying attention and you're pleased. Our Father, we're thankful for Rotarians, that we come together to give service above self, and we pray today for this food. We thank you for it, and that you'll use it to nourish our bodies, that we might better serve you above ourselves. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And at this time, if you would please rise if you are able, and let's have our pledge allegiance to the flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'm going to take this out of here so I can hold it close. Good afternoon. My name is Billy Freeman, and I'm honored today on behalf of the Thomasville Rotary Club to share some opening remarks. First and foremost, though, I want to take time to just recognize and say a huge thank you to Stan Stiers. We probably wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the fact that he has spearheaded this effort for more years than I even know. And I also want to give him credit today for some of the thoughts and words that I'm going to share. I don't think it's plagiarism if you give credit, right, Coach? Let me start my comments with something called a paraprosdote. I don't know if you know what that is, and I don't know if I pronounced it right either. But it's a sentence in which the second part of the sentence sometimes makes a comparison, sometimes a little bit comical or not, but to make a point. A couple of my favorites. One says, since light travels faster than sound, some people may appear bright until you hear them speak. I hope that's not already coming true today. My favorite all-time one has nothing to do with today's program, but is that you don't need a parachute to skydive unless you want to do it a second time. But the one I chose for today is this: going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than standing in a garage makes you a car. Now, I want you to just ponder that one for a minute. I may circle back and get back to that. But today is a special day because we're coming together in several unique ways. The 7 schools from the CCC are coming together today to celebrate their successes on the athletic fields and athletic courts. The Thomasville Rotary and the Lexington Rotary Club are coming together today to facilitate that. And in a larger sense, today represents a coming together of our communities. This is where I stole some from Coach Dyers. I've heard him talk about this in the past and talk about crossing the creek. And for us folks in Thomasville and Lexington, we joke about navigating Abbott's Creek right down the road here every time that we play. And we've been playing for a long time. I can say this, it's not always been an easy thing to do for Thomasville and Lexington. Sometimes we navigate that creek with a little bit of a chip on our shoulder. The rivalry sometimes can be more important than the relationships. I can tell you this from personal experience. I can remember a cold Friday night way back in 1976 when we rode across that creek down there. I was on the Thomasville Bulldog bus. We were 9-0, ranked number 2 in the state of North Carolina, on our way to Philpott Stadium. They were 9-0, ranked number 1 in the state. A little after 10 o'clock, we crossed back across that creek pretty quiet. We had just suffered the agony of defeat, or maybe better said, the sting of defeat from those 76 Yellow Jackets. So it's not always something's hard. I can tell you I wasn't feeling very cordial about Lexington that night. But anyway, since 1976, I've had the opportunity a bunch of times to cross that creek. I've had an opportunity as a young player, as a coach, and even as a dad to watch my daughters play against all 7 teams that are represented here today. And I've learned that oftentimes the people on the other side of the creek will become the best friends in life. Fierce rivals, but the best of friends. I learned this firsthand from 2 coaches, George Cushwa and Charlie England. Now, I'm going to get a chance in a minute to talk about George Cushwa when we do the Cushwa Cup. Ronnie, I'm going to take just a minute to talk about Charlie England. I can remember as a young teenager playing baseball for Thomasville against a Charlie England coach team, when right in the middle of the game, Coach England called me over by my name, which caught me off guard, and told me what a great play I had just made. And then he put his arm around my neck, called me honey, right? And then went back over and started coaching against us just as fierce as ever. I could share a lot of experiences when I was back at Thomasville as a coach, just like that, where his genuine gestures of sportsmanship spoke to me. Try and talk to you and read my notes at the same time. I'm getting lost a little bit. At any rate, he was a fierce competitor, but a more amazing human being. I've often tried to emulate his example in my journey through life, as he made a great impression on me. You see, he was not my coach. He didn't coach my team. He was even from the other side of the creek. But he was a great example and mentor to me and to anybody really that came in contact with him. That's the spirit that I hope we can have here today and throughout the coming years. Compete on the field, cooperate off the field, but always respect each other wherever we are. That's why we're here this afternoon. Favorite scripture of mine is Colossians 3:23. Paul says this. He says, whatever you do, do it with all your heart, as if doing for the Lord. The last 2 awards that we'll present today at the end of the program, the Cushwa Cup and the England Cup, honor 2 great men and coaches. One represents the pursuit of excellence, and the other represents the pursuit of sportsmanship. In other words, whatever you do, do it with all your heart, excellence, and as if doing for the Lord, sportsmanship and respect for each other. We're not here today just because we compete, but also because we're friends. And to revisit that paraprostokian that I shared earlier, the one about going to church doesn't just make you a Christian any more than a car. Standing in a garage makes you a car. let us not be pretenders, but contenders when it comes to the pursuit of excellence in all we do, not just on the athletic field, and always the pursuit of sportsmanship and respect, just like Coach Kushwa and Coach Ingram. Coach Palmer.
Thanks, Billy. At this time, on behalf of the Central Carolina Conference, I'd like to thank both the Rotary Clubs of Lexington and Thomasville for hosting and sponsoring this luncheon, and I'd also like to thank DDCC for allowing us to meet at this facility. I would like to introduce our conference and school representatives today. Mies Davidson, Tim Warwick, Ryan McClainrock, Jennifer Woodrum. From Lexington, Trevay Foreman, Eric Perrier, David Miller. From North Rowan, Zach Tatarka, Michael White, Lamar Wilkerson, Maury MacArthur, Kawan Sims. From Salisbury, Tyler Bryant, LaKay Bryce, Quentin Bryant, Talita McCain, Amy Parker, Derek Butler, Marvin Moore, and Todd Parker. From South Davidson, Chris Adams, Kevin Park, Lauren Cody. From Thomasville, Steve Baird, Megan Sylvie, Dr. Chris Kennedy, Janari Lucky, Letitia Burton, Jemiah Lucky, Shay Mock, Janet Burton. From West Davidson, Chad Tedder, Wes Walser, Heather Hoover, Kenneth Elmore, Ryan Elmore, Kristen Elmore, Kathy Elmore, and Charles Elmore. Representing Davidson County Schools, Dr. Emily Light, Mike Lawson. And from the newspapers, Daniel Kennedy from the Thomasville Times, and Carlton Hurt from the Lexington Dispatch. This is the 18th year that the CCC has recognized a male and female athlete of the year, and a list of the previous winners are included. We will also be recognizing a Coach of the Year for the first time ever, and this award will be called the Charles Elmore Coach of the Year. We'll be giving away 6 awards today, each from a different school, and I am positive this has never happened before in the history of the CCC. Now, to introduce the Female Athlete of the Year, Derek Butler, Salisbury.
Good afternoon, everybody. I don't plan to be before you long. I just want to recognize this young lady that we have coming up on behalf of Salisbury High School. She is a tremendous athlete, tremendous student, and even better person. couldn't be more proud to present this award to Ms. Kyla Bryant.
First, I'd like to thank God for blessing me with many opportunities and making this all possible. I would like to begin by expressing my appreciation for everybody in this room as well. Thank you to my mom and dad who's always believed in me no matter what. I am extremely honored to receive this year's award for Female Athlete of the Year. I would like to express my gratitude to my school, coaches, parents, and teammates for their guidance and support on and off the court. I would also like to thank the Central Carolina Conference athletic directors for selecting me for this award. I am so grateful to be a part of something so special. Go Hornets.
Thank you, Kylie. And I think the other 6 schools are very glad that you're graduating because you have tore through them for at least the last 4 years of every basketball. And now for the Male Athlete of the Year. For the first time ever, the CCC had a tie for Male Athlete of the Year. So the first one we'll call will be from North Carolina. Zach Tarka, if you'll introduce your winner, please.
Good afternoon. For the ones that didn't hear, my name is Zach Tark. I'm the athletic director at North Carolina High School. Obviously, we have the Male Athlete of the Year with Amar MacArthur. The one thing I will say about him is obviously he has a God-given ability on the football field, on the basketball court, on the track. But the thing that I think that trumps all of that is his character. He's a first guy in, last guy out kind of guy with a good mentality, great work ethic, and he's had 4 great years at North. We hate to lose him, but he's on to bigger and better things. So I'd like to introduce Mr. Amar MacArthur.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank you all for coming out and taking the time to vote with me. I'd also like to thank my mom, my family that couldn't make it, coaches and friends. I've had a great time these last 4 years at North Carolina. This award means a lot to me. Once again, I appreciate you all for coming out this evening, and I wouldn't be here without the Lord.
To introduce our other recipient, Steve Bayer, Thomasville.
I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to help us honor 3 really incredible young people. I would echo the remarks that these 3 young people have made an incredible impression in our league. One young man specifically to us at Thomasville High School. Lots of things you could say about Janari Lucky, but the thing I'd like to leave with you is he's a winner. And I don't mean on the scoreboard. He's got a smile that will light up the room. And on the toughest day that I've shared with him in the last 4 years, he was still smiling. He's a winner with people. He's a winner academically. He's a winner in how he carries himself. And I'm very honored on behalf of Thomasville High School to introduce you to our recipient for the Co-Male Athlete of the Year Award winner, Mr. Janari Lucky.
First and foremost, I'd like to thank God for everything He's done for me. Also, I'd like to thank everybody who voted me for this award. I'd like to thank my coaches, Coach Bear. I'd like to thank the facility for everything He's done for me and supporting me throughout this journey. Also, I'd like to thank my mom, my nana, my aunt, and my sister for always being there for me. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my father for looking down on me, and I know he's proud of me. Thank you.
Last April, Ronnie Beverly came up with the idea that we need to honor a Coach of the Year in addition to Athletes of the Year. All the ADs were in agreement to do that. And we decided to honor longtime coach and AD Charles Elmore from West Davidson with this award. After the meeting, I called Charles, and he was on his way back from Virginia. I told him what we wanted to do as a conference, and his immediate response was, I can think of a dozen people more deserving than this award. To which I responded, I know, Charles, I called every one of them. That's a true statement. He was choked up by this honor, so choked up that he had to pull over on the side of the road and gather himself before he graciously accepted. I have known Charles and his family for close to 50 years, and he surely epitomizes every quality that an outstanding coach should represent. To introduce the first Charles Elmore Coach of the Year Award, Chad Cutter from West Davidson.
Now, the other ADs had this memorized. I have to write my stuff down. And I'm not an English teacher either. So. But good afternoon. I'm Chad Taylor, Co-Athletic Director of West Davidson. I'm here to present the first annual Central Carolina Conference Charles Elmore Coach of the Year Award. Number one, a little bit more to piggyback. Coach Elmore I did my student teaching under him. And I remember the very first day they come in, we sat in health class, and I'm sitting there observing. I'm supposed to do like a week or two of observing and then start gradually getting it in. And after that class was over with, he did this to me. You got him. And he continued on to work. But I coached with him. This was back in '94, did my student teaching, and I was assistant coach under him as head coach. Then he became athletic director, and I was coach football under him as a coach, wrestling coach, and track coach under him. And got to know his wife, Kathy, through the middle school, because I also did my student teaching with the middle school. So I got to know her pretty well, and got to teach his son, Kenneth, and coach Kenneth in football and wrestling. And never got to teach Kristen, but I know every time we go into his office in the morning, she was propped up in his seat eating something, always eating something. And but anyway, we came up with this idea last year, and obviously, like Danny said, that was the first person that I popped up and said, this is who it needs to be if we ever do it. There's only one person I know of that can outwork Coach Elmore, and that was my grandfather. But sorry if I get emotional. He's one person that cares about his school, but not only the school, he cared about the conference. And I just hope, as me being an AD, that I have done the same thing even though this is my last one, thank goodness, because I am retiring again this year, but anyway, he always put everybody even ahead of West Davidson. He's in the Hall of Fame of West Davidson. He's done all this stuff, but he always put the conference first and what was best for the other schools. And we try to do that, and that's something that we hopefully will continue on after I'm gone and whoever goes with Wes and does all this stuff. So anyway, but again, the biggest thing is Coach Elmore did things was right. And we got to have more coaches now in this world and players that just need to do the right things. And that was one thing Coach did. So I'm here to present the first annual one. It's near and dear to my heart. I had to trick him to get him to come and just thinking, I want you to be here because your dad is getting the name of the award after him. But he is very humble. He doesn't want recognition, just like his dad. He's actually his son, Kenneth. Kenneth's been around West Davidson all of his life since he was born. I remember football practice, us football coaches, he'd run around and actually try to hit the coaches, and so we have to protect ourselves because this little booger's running around. And then when I had wrestling practice, the sucker would come around the corner and tackle my wrestlers when he was little. So I knew he was going to be a wrestler eventually. But I got to teach him, I got to coach him. He was an awesome student, valedictorian in his class. Went on to Carolina to get his history degree. He was arguably one of the best linebackers that West Davidson's ever had. Now, he was not an athlete. He was not very good. He was not very fast. But what he did use was his brain and his mind, and he knew what to do. I think he still has, him and the other linebacker that went with him, they had the most tackles in school history in the season. But anyway, and he went on to wrestle and do good things, and then never thought he'd come back to teach and coach. And then he went off to Ledford, heaven forbid, and then, sorry, Ledford people. But anyway, we came back home, and we got, for the last 3 years, we've had a chance to have Kenneth. Kenneth is brilliant. He's a hard-working teacher and coach. He builds relationships with his students and athletes that they all love and respect. He came as a defensive coordinator in football and has continued to be defensive coordinator, and someday he will be a head football coach. He's our girls' head track coach. This winter, he volunteered to be an indoor track coach for our team and had the largest ever indoor track team ever in our school's history. He was the girls' coach of the year last year. He was the coach of the year this year. Him and Coach Billings at West have changed the attitude of the entire track team and the culture of track at West. And, to be honest, the numbers, we had 90-some kids this year, and it's just incredible. He does so many things outside the roles of just being a coach that nobody will ever know what he does. For example, he'll clear out trees around the baseball field to keep the limbs off the baseball fence. He'll paint new old equipment to make it look new. He goes on the weekends without nobody being there. He'll clean the locker rooms, clean the weight room. He'll bring his kids up just like his dad would bring him up. And just do things that, number one, nobody asks him to do, he just does it. And that's the type of people we got to have in coaching. So the last 3 years have been awesome to be a part of, have Kenneth as a part of West Davidson. Hopefully he will retire there too. And I'm glad to present to the first annual Charles Elmore Coach of the Year to Kenneth Elmore. I'll get a picture. This is my last one. We'll take a picture right here.
That was way too many nice things said about me, so I will be real quick. The first thing, just want to clarify, my dad did not pick this award. If he would have, if it was up to him, he would not have picked me. Like he said, I can think of at least a dozen other people in this conference who are better football coaches, better track coaches than me. anything, I like other people think that I work hard, and if nothing else, that's it. And the biggest thing is I think good coaches make good coaches. Coach Walter, Coach Tedder, Coach me, I grew up around coaches, Coach Barnes. When I went to Lefford, worked for Coach Adams, Coach Cassa, Coach Lockens. When I don't know what to do, I do what I think they would do, and I think that's really important. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's good to be here and to present the Charles England Award. Dr. Light, Dr. Gentry's here, Dr. Kennedy, I think he stepped out for a minute. But it's good to see Dr. Moore, good to see all of you here. Some of my former colleagues, Chad, Coach Elmore, Steve Bair, you guys have been a blessing to me. Kim, I love you, good to see you. I know you retired. Coach Lawson, thank you so much. Kenneth, congratulations, man. Your dad is the man. He is. He helped me out. I think I came in with Gene Poindexter. Danny was still here. Joe Pinion and your daddy in our meetings. I think I got in between them a lot. Your dad's a calm in the storm. Let's see, Woody Honeycutt was around at the time. And so we had a really good core group. And I pulled on all of those ADs when I first came in. Kenneth, I had black hair. Nice curly black hair. And my Latin heritage came through real strong. But after that first year at Lexington, Macon, it started turning gray, white. Now I'm in the Silver Fox Club. So it changed very quickly. But your father, Coach Elmore, thank you. Again, the award named in your honor. We couldn't think of anybody else so deserving for what you've done for the conference, and so many people that have gone unnoticed. And so we want to make sure you get your flowers while you're above surface. But again, Ms. Bryant, congratulations on your award. You are amazing to see. Lucky just to see you smile, light up the gym, brother. I know you would beat Lexington, and I wouldn't be mad because I try to stay neutral like Coach Elmore. He just kind of keep it cool. But you do an amazing job, and I'm very proud of you all. I wish you nothing but the best in your future endeavors. Coach England, he had a smile that would light up any room. Short man in stature, about 5'5", maybe 5'6" at the most if he had on high heels. He was pigeon-toed. He could play baseball, played with the Homestead Braves and what they called the Negro Leagues at the time. He had a heart that was pure of gold. And he had hopes and dreams, not only for his own children, which his oldest son, Macon's here today, who was like a big brother to my brother, Casey and I, because we spent many a time under the tutelage of Coach England, like many students did here in Lexington. But Coach England was smooth like Skippy peanut butter. You know how you open it before anybody interrupts it, and it's just smooth? He was smooth just like that. He could walk into the room with pastors and politicians and teachers and lawyers and doctors, and Coach England could break the ice and come up with some kind of conversation, and he would have doctors laughing, preachers telling lies, and everybody would just have a good time. He was that type of person. He was a magnet for people. Everybody was attracted to him, and it wasn't about his looks and his stature, but it was about his heart, his character, and what he stood for. Now, he was a man that, of course, inspired a great race relations at the time when integration had first started. Coach England was at Dunbar, which was an African-American school in Lexington. So when those two school systems bridged and came together, who other than Coach England? Coach England came, he took a step back as a state championship high school coach, a track coach in baseball, and he said, you know what, I'm going to be an assistant coach with Press Mole and some others up at Lexington, and he helped bridge the racial tension that existed back in that day. Who else? Smooth Coach England. And he did it with sportsmanship about one of his, I heard Billy talk about honey, but he loved to say baby. Baby, baby. A lot of us called him baby. Hey, baby. You know, he would always say baby. Hey, baby, how you doing? And it'd be male and female. You got to be careful saying that today. You can't say that today. Find yourself in the superintendent's office or the chancellor's office, so you can't say baby. But he knew how to mold student athletes, especially rough, tough football players and wrestlers, into these guys that would also befriend their teammates and rivals across the river from one another. He knew how to treat young ladies. He would open doors. He would smile. Good morning. How you doing? What's your name? Those kind of things. Character, sportsmanship. He was a husband, a father, a man of all seasons. You would see Coach England in his youth and prime. Before he started losing his hair, he had nice black hair, and he kept it around the edges. And he would be the same jolly, nice coach, grab you around the neck, as you mentioned earlier. And as he got up in age, he was the same way. Always want you to do better. The late Coach England spent almost 40 years in education, amassing an outstanding record in football where he won state championships, and he was part of my high school tenure when we won state championships at Lexington back to back. What an amazing man. He was the captain of the baseball team. He was a pitcher at Shaw University down in Raleigh. He went on to become a head coach. He did so many things. And he was a good friend to my mentor and one of my coaches over at Winston-Salem State, who was the athletic director, Clarence Big House Gaines. Coach England coached at Gus Purcell football camp down in Charlotte for years with some of the greats like Peyton Manning, my classmate Deems May, who ended up going to the NFL but played tight end as opposed to quarterback. The Central Carolina Conference awards the Charlie England Cup to its overall athletic program at Intermediate School in Lexington in name of its honor. Coach passed away in 1999. Here it is, close to 24, almost 25 years later, we're still calling his name. There's a school name, an elementary school named in his honor, and I'm proud to have known him as a father figure in my life. He was a dean of men to my brother and I, and so many countless Yellow Jackets and amazing students across the state. But one thing Coach always emphasized, as Mr. Freeman mentioned, sportsmanship. He would lose, and I could imagine he would be red and all upset, but he would shake the opponent's hand, pat you on the back, you got me, good job. Next game, on to the rappers say, on to the next one, right, Lucky? On to the next one. And he would be so gracious in defeat where he wouldn't have a temper tantrum and kick and storm and show bad sportsmanship and just kind of ridicule the opponent. But he was always gracious in a win or a loss. He treated all of the guests that came to Lexington High School or whatever, anywhere that they would meet. Hey, how you doing? Shake your hands, come on in. The locker rooms would be clean. The gym would be decent. You would have water in your cooler. You'd have cups in your dugout or locker room or your sideline. Little things like that says a lot about your character and sportsmanship. I got bad sportsmanship. I want you to lose. Coach Freeman, we're not going to give y'all no water. And the water we do give you, we're going to give you well water that's going to be brown or green. Upset your stomach so your best player will have, bubble gut and won't be able to play the second half. But that was not Coach England. Coach England made sure you had the best. Good ice from the cafeteria that's been certified by the health department. That's the kind of person that he was. He was slow to anger. He treated others with grace and humility, fairness. He was kind. And these characteristics that some of these young folks, you learn that from your mama and your daddy. You learn that from the man next door down the street, and you coaches and ADs emulate that every day. Every day. The stress as coaches and athletic directors have. You're going to go gray or go bald. That's the only way unless you put some dye in it. Other than that, you're going to go gray or go bald. Superintendents, principals, teachers, the stress load that you all have to remain humble, upright, even when you catch it pure T-H-E-double-L-L or Hades. It's tough today working with young people, but nonetheless, sportsmanship, character, how you handle yourself. It's defined in many ways, sportsmanship. And Webster says it's fair and generous behavior or treatment of others, especially in a sports context. But what is the true meaning of sportsmanship? Sportsmanship is an understanding of a commitment to fair play, ethical behavior and integrity, general goodwill toward an opponent. Is an affirmation that an athlete is disciplined enough to have the perspective to maintain poise. Keep it cool. Keep it cool. I know you lost or you won, but be cool. That's what I like about LeBron James. My boy lost. He shook Joker's hand, shook a few other hands, and he walked off the court. Now, I can imagine he hurt because that's the king, okay? That's the king. But nonetheless, sportsmanship. To have that, maintain that poise and do what's best for not only you and your teammates, but your parents, the village that's raising you. how will you be defined? The 2023 Central Carolina Conference English Cup team who showed great sportsmanship as well as many others. They just inked this out this year. It was a close one. And I like to say that South Davidson, Coach Adams, Principal Coach Adams, Lauren Cody, Coach Parks, ADs at South Davidson, edged Salisbury by 4 measly points this year. Salisbury is a championship pedigree under Mr. Moore, the new athletic director. But great job to South Davidson. Come on up, Coach Parks, Coach Adams, come on up, man. Come on up. I'm gonna call him Coach Adams because that's all I ever known him. As a principal, he's still coaching folks. There you go.
Coach Beverly, Coach Beverly, I never knew Coach England, but I always admire the passion that you speak about him with, and I always feel like it's a history lesson as I'm sitting here and I'm hearing about a few of these coaches that I never had the opportunity to know, but clearly they have made a lasting impact on so many people. Walter, I want to add one more thing to that list of 3 that you gave us at the beginning, and that's the food we had today. I have been looking forward to this meal since last May. It is absolutely delicious. On behalf of South Davidson, I want to thank all of you who voted for us. I want to recognize, again, Coach Park and Ms. Cody as our ADs. They do a great job modeling the behavior that we want. We make it a priority. Are we perfect at all times with our behavior at every event? Absolutely not. Our parents or anybody else, no. But we are stressing it. I know it's not easy. Sportsmanship is something right now that we're all battling, and because it encompasses so many different things, it's not just being able to shake hands after a game anymore. It's a lot more that goes into it, and our kids don't often have the best role models, but we have to continue to model and tell them the right thing to do and preach it and make it a priority, and I feel like our folks at South Davidson are doing that. I'm proud to be a part of it. So it's an honor to receive this award. I will also finish with this. I've been to many, many games this year at home and both on the road, and I've seen great sportsmanship at everybody in this conference. Whether I've come to your place or you guys have come to visit us, I've seen it since the beginning of football season, regardless of what sport I was at, fall, winter, and spring. So you're all doing a great job, and I appreciate all you do, and thank you again for recognizing us for this award.
Coach Adams, I'm glad you enjoyed that food. It was almost had to be finger licking good. And to Ronnie, I'll just say amen, brother. That was awesome. Until you started talking about going gray or going bald, I don't know about that part. His hair turned gray, mine turned loose. At any rate, we're down to the Cushwa Cup. It's our final award for the day. So bear with me. My name's still Billy Freeman, and it's a great honor today for me to be able to award this George Cushwa Cup today to today's recipient. I want to share just a minute. Personally, I just recently was blessed to be able to retire after a 41-year career. I was honored to serve 20 years as an employee in public education as a teacher and coach for Thomasville City Schools, and you'll know why I'm talking about this in a minute. And then I did 10 years in local government for the Parks and Recreation Department of Thomasville, and I spent another 12 years at both the Lexington and Thomasville YMCAs in that YMCA world. I loved all of it. But after those 41 plus years, I can honestly tell you that the most esteemed title that I was ever called by was that name of coach. Occasionally, even today, I'll run into somebody 21 years since I've coached in a grocery store around town, and they'll say, "Hey, coach, how you doing?" And it still makes me feel special when somebody calls me by that name. It was then, and it still is good work. So the people in the room that do that, you make a difference. Thank you for what you do. George Cushwa was a coach, an athletic director at Thomasville High School for a quarter of a century. George Cushwa's legacy still lives on today partly through this award, but more important, in the lives of those whom he coached, even 40 years after his death. Not just because he was a football coach and won a lot of games, and he did win a lot of games, but because of his players and the difference that he made in their lives. Certainly there were lots of wins, but it's not just the wins that propel that legacy. It was his ability to inspire his players to excellence, to hold them to a higher standard, a high standard of character, a high standard of teamwork, and an incredibly high standard of work ethic. He always expected and demanded their best. Oftentimes run into players around town, my friends who played for Coach Cushwa, and as they reminisce, there's an aura that is always the same. It's a sense of reverence for the man who was their coach. I was a freshman at Thomasville High School in the fall of 1973, and I did not get a chance to play directly under Coach Cushwa, as he had just relinquished the reins of the football program the season before. But his presence was still very much alive, as he was still in the role of athletic director during my 4 years at Thomasville High School. Even in that role, his standard of excellence was present. I can remember his stern, but caring voice calling me out one day, "Freeman, run out those ground balls the same way you run out those base hits." You see, it didn't matter that he wasn't my coach or that it was baseball and not football. He wanted the best out of us all. And I would submit to you that even though he was not my coach, he did coach me, because he coached so many of my former coaches. Coach Alan Brown, Coach Danny Ward, Coach Eddie Williamson, Coach Wayne Thrift, Coach Phil Canoy, Coach Stan Stiers, and some others. You see, his legacy of pursuing excellence was instilled in each of them, and thus instilled in me as well. It's only fitting that his standard of excellence, of giving your best, be the standard of this award that bears his name. The George Cushwa Cup goes to the school in the Central Carolina Conference each year that meets that standard of excellence. The CCC is currently a split 1A, 2A conference made up of 4 2A schools, East Davison, West Davison, Salisbury, and Lexington, and 3 1A schools, South Davison, Thomasville, North Rowan. The winner of the Cushwa Cup is determined through a point system that awards 10 points for a first place finish, 9 for a second place, 8 for a third, and so forth. This year's George Cushwa Cup recipient finished in first, second, or third place in 15 out of the 19 sports. 5 outright conference championships and 1 co-championship, so a total of 6 conference championships. Please join me in congratulating the 2023 Cushwa Cup of Excellence to this year's recipient, East Davison High School.
Ron has made me give the speech, and he knows that making a speech is not my thing, but I wrote a lot of stuff down, but I don't think I could stand up here without saying that I am extremely excited about this award. As I went to East Davison, played at East Davison, obviously I graduated from East Davison, and I returned to work at East Davison for 27 years. The other 3 years, I was at Thomasville High School, and I worked there. And I've been the athletic director here for 11 years. After Coach Palmer, I'm not sure why I said yes, talked me in to becoming the athletic director at East Davison. And I can't help but think that maybe right now, presenting or getting this award for our school, may be one of the reasons why I'm standing here today, as well as many others that I have coached and worked with in this position. So With that being said, on behalf of our athletes and coaches at East Davidson, we are honored to accept the Cushwa Cup. The success of our athletic program is a result of the hard work and dedication on the field, and I believe also in the classroom from our athletes. It is the first time since 1989 that East Davidson has earned this award, and we are excited to take this award back to our school and share it with our athletes as well as our East Davidson community. So go Eagles, thank you.
Well, as my friend Walter mentioned early on, I am Jerry Dunbar. I'm honored to be the president of Thomasville Rotary Club. And so I appreciate all of you guys being here today. And I'm the last thing that stands between you and adjournment and this beautiful day and whatever else you have this afternoon. So I'm going to try to keep this short and sweet. Thank you, Billy. Thank you, Danny. You guys did the heavy lifting for this event. And it's an event that I've come to look forward to since I've been a part of Rotary over the last several years. And I was thinking, why do I look forward to it? And there was a word that came to me, it was just encouraged. And there's something that Coach Bear and I served together on the Thomasville Parks and Recreation Committee. And I don't even know if you remember this, Coach, but several months ago, something came up in our committee meeting and we were talking about Thomasville, and you said, you know what, we've got some really good kids. You said, we've always had good kids, but I think these may be some of the best kids that we've had in our schools. And I hate people can't get into the school to see all the good things that's going on. And so that's why I'm encouraged. And I'm even more encouraged when I come to this event and I see this not only at Thomasville, but it's at all these other schools that you've got these great students. And we've got those great students in large part due to these coaches, athletic directors, administrators, teachers, etc. So I'm encouraged by that. And to my friends in the room with the journalists, I realize that if it bleeds, it leads, and sensationalism is king. However, I'm still encouraged by when I see what's truly happening and talk to the folks who are in the trenches every day. So thank you for that work that you're doing. And since I've been encouraged, I wanted to say a couple of things that I hope is encouraging to specifically the student athletes in this room. I encourage you to reflect on how you got to where you are today and why you're worthy of receiving this award. It is something that I'm trying to do at 41 years old, is reflect on how in the world did I get to where I am, and why do I have the successes and failures that we all have as well. But reflection is something that I'm trying to do more of. And so I encourage you, student athletes, to reflect on how did you get to this point. The trials and tribulations, the good times, the hard work, in the weight room, on the field, on the court, whatever that is, the coaches, mentors, and teammates that helped you get here, and apply that to not only if you continue in your athletic journey, but in life in general. And reflect on that and learn from it. And I encourage you to do that. That's all I've got for you. Would you please stand with me as we adjourn today? Congratulations to all the winners. Thank you, coaches, and everybody else who's here to support us all. Before I forget, if you won, if you were a winner, please come forward because we need to take some pictures as a group. Again, thank you so much for being here. One other thing to encourage you. You may not be familiar with this. In your program is the four-way test. And as Rotarians, we always end our Rotary meetings with that four-way test and recite that. So I encourage you to apply this four-way test to all the things that you think, say, and do every day in life. So recite it with me. Of all the things we think, say, or do first, may we ask ourselves first, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill, better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you all for being here. Have a wonderful afternoon. Make sure you come forward if you want.